Thank you again. And everyone is excited to hear this amazing history from you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, praise be to Allah. All right, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to this very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have an incredible guest with us, none other than Student Minister Omar Karim from Philadelphia, but now in Jersey. He's going to give us, we look forward to getting some amazing information as well as inspiration. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, Brother Josh. Thank you for bringing me on. It's a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. The honor is all mine. On behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we are very excited and look forward to this interview. And can't wait to put this on YouTube as well once we are finished. The first question that we want to know from you, sir, is when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
I first heard the teachings in '67. First of the teachings, I began by reading the autobiography of Malcolm X. That's what brought me into interest, and I'd read that in about '65. I didn't come to the mosque until '67. But it was the autobiography. I was working in the main library in the Philadelphia area, and I was just going through some of the books on the shelves and happened to look and see the autobiography of Malcolm. And I read that autobiography, brother, and I was so hook, line, and sink. This is it. This is the consciousness that we need as a people. So that was my beginning. That brought me into Black consciousness. I didn't join the mosque right there. I really got involved in just the Black Power movement, as it were. I started a Black Student League in my high school, and when I went to college, I went to community college in Philadelphia, and I started a Black Student League in the community college.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And what was it about the teachings that made you want to accept it from the book? Like, what was it specifically?
Well, when I read the book, I seen the discipline and the vision that they had. And even though it inspired me to be way, Black conscious and fully aware of my Blackness. But when I got involved originally, it was with people who were in what we could call the Black Power movement, and I noticed in that movement that they weren't committed to the kind of nation that I thought we were going to grow into. Because when I went to the Black Power movement, they were smoking and drinking and impregnating the women, and that just didn't, I couldn't see myself building that type of nation. So it was the Nation of Islam. When I seen the discipline in the brothers and the commitment and the seriousness about it, I said, that's what I want. That's the movement I want to be in. Because in that, I seen a transformational style. If we were building a new nation, that was the kind of nation I wanted to be a part
of. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And how did your family and friends feel about you accepting the teachings?
Well, the strange thing is that, my mom and my dad was a strict father. But when I said I wanted to join the mosque, nobody thought my dad would go along with it, because when I was joining, I was too young to get an X without parental consent. So they had to sign a form consenting to allow me to get my X. And when my dad signed the letter for me to get my X, well, nobody in my family of 6, nobody in my family thought that my dad would go along with it. But he did. And the irony is, when I was going through the Black Power and into the nation, wearing a bush and things of that nature as the hairstyle.
Yes, sir.
With our Black consciousness, no one in my family was Black conscious. As I joined the Nation of Islam and stayed committed to it, everybody in my family became Black conscious. Everybody, from my mom to my dad to all my sisters, all my brothers. There's no one in our family who's not Black conscious. And my mom and dad, who they thought my dad would never commit, my mom and dad ended up coming to hear Minister Farrakhan when we brought him into Philadelphia.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
So yeah, so at first it was they didn't understand everything about it, but they liked the fact that it cleaned up one's lifestyle. So that was the impressive part. So they was not as difficult with it because their thing was what it was doing for my life. They felt it was positive and progressive. So I came out of high school. I joined when I was in high school, and then I went into college from there. They thought all of that was progressive movement.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful, sir. And on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we want to thank you for your sacrifice and the sacrifice of your family, sir, because we are definitely standing on the work that you helped put in all those years. Praise be to all these years. Praise be to Allah.
We think a lot, and the irony of it is when you're living your life, you're not living it because you think that there's going to be some milestones in it. You're living it because you believe this is what you have given yourself to and what you have committed yourself to. So the years I was under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad leadership, I didn't look at it as going to be a historical time. I looked at it as what I had given my life over to. So when I was going to the Savior's Days, I went to Savior's Days from 1969 all the way up until the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's departure 85. And, and ministered under, in Philadelphia from 1970 to the departure, minister under the local minister in Philadelphia area, was Minister Jeremiah Shabazz. But I was a minister of the satellite minister inside of Philadelphia for those years.
Yes, sir. And my sister Miriam sends a greetings, and thanks to everyone who continues to like, share, and show you love in the comments.
Well, give my greetings back.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, brother minister, what was the climate like when you were in the nation in the 60s, and who trained you? Like what was that like? Like the FOI, the minister, how was that?
Well, when we came in, it was a small movement. Remember, I said I came in 1967, got my 1968. But remember, we were a small group at that time. Mosque number 12 didn't get its number until 1960. So I came in 7 years after it had just got its X, just got up to what we'd say 40 people. Imam Muhammad had been, Malcolm came here first. Malcolm came here in the early years of 1954. Malcolm came in, this was his first ministry, was in Philadelphia.
Yes, sir.
And after Malcolm got transferred, right after he had Philadelphia, got transferred to New York. And then Imam Muhammad in 1958 became the minister in Philadelphia. And he was minister in Philadelphia until he went to prison in 1960, between 60 and 61. So it was a small, when I came into mosque, it might have been maybe 20 brothers, if that, in the whole mosque. Nobody had a car but the minister of the mosque. Minister Jeremiah was the only one with a car. We were all poor, came from poor neighborhoods, poor backgrounds, just a handful. We're in little storefront, split places where we were teaching at. But our FOI started very small. Started with, like I say, just a handful of brothers, and from that little 20 brothers or so, by the time of the departure of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1975, the FOI in Philadelphia was 500 FOI. So many FOI, we couldn't even drill inside the mosque. We had to do close cadence drill because we couldn't do a full step with so many of us.
Yes, sir. Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. And
but it was challenging because back then you couldn't blackness. It was a different time. So if you call somebody black, that was a threat. You could end up in a battle, in a fight with someone for that. So it was taking to people to call them a brother. They didn't want you to call them brother. They said, you ain't from my mother. You ain't from my father. Don't call me brother. And it took us time to work our people into the treating them like a brother that made them begin to be, and sister made them begin to be able to accept over time the term brother and sister. So it was difficult that everything was new. People had never heard of the Holy Quran. People had never heard of Islam. People didn't know the ways of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, things that today you would take for granted. But back when we were coming up, just the fact that joining the Nation of Islam required that you had to take a bath every day. Well, this was a time when very few homes even had showers in it. Some only had just a tub, and most people didn't do a total bath till on the weekend. It just washed up in the sink during the weekdays. So that was common in that day and time. But when I was, Joint the Nation was bathing every day, they were like, what is going on? They felt that to be so weird and so unusual. And now it's, of course, it's common place. But my thing is, the things that are simplistic now were very new to everybody. Just hearing Assalamu alaikum and so forth. When I went to prison, they wouldn't even let me bring a Quran into the prison. They let me bring a message to the black man how they can live with no Quran.
Yes, sir. Okay, we have a lot to talk about with your history, sir.
Okay.
Sister Tracy says, "Assalamu alaikum, family." She's so happy that she gets to catch live. Brother Daniel sends the greetings. Sister Tracy says, "Wow." Yes, sir. Brother Carlton is definitely on the list. Okay. My next question I wanted to ask you, sir. Did you ever get a chance to meet Malcolm X?
Never got a chance to meet Malcolm X. When Malcolm was killed in 1965, February 21st, 1965, Malcolm was killed. So it was right before I joined the mosque that Malcolm was killed. But I knew about his Organization of African American Unity. That was Malcolm's political organization, his political branch. And his religious branch was the Muslim Mosque Incorporated. So the Muslim Mosque Incorporated in the Organization of African American Unity, which Malcolm prototyped it off an organization in Africa called the Organization of African Unity that was existing at that time. So he named his organization African American Unity. And his group disintegrated pretty much after Malcolm was assassinated. So his group, there are fragments of it around, but there were very, very few of them around. We just had to deal with the after effect of so many of them thinking that the Nation of Islam was responsible for the death of Malcolm. But many people just didn't know. For one, many people didn't know that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had gave us hands off Malcolm. So we wouldn't have done anything to Malcolm anyway, even though I came in after the death of Malcolm, but we wouldn't have done anything to Malcolm. And most people don't know, those of us who knew and those of us in ministry and who were defending the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's position, we knew that Malcolm was trying to come back into the Nation of Islam. And now there's a common tape that you can YouTube it up on the apology. And Malcolm is talking about his aspirations to come back. And we believe, at least I do believe, that was at the root of the government ultimately assassinating him, because they could not see him coming back, uniting again with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So Malcolm's organization, it disintegrated. It never really got up and running, because you got to remember, Malcolm was only out 11 months. Malcolm separated from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in March 1965. So by the less than 11 months, Malcolm was assassinated. So he was out, and he was out of the country for about 5 to 6 months at that time. So he was only in the country maybe for about 4 months, maybe 5 months. So very little time to get his organization up and running. And Malcolm realized after he was running his organization that running an organization is not easy when you're the man at the top. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, of course, made it look easy. Malcolm found out when he tried to run his own organization, it was not an easy task, and he ended up being infiltrated inside of his organization, infiltrated to such a degree that not just his followers, some of them were infiltrated by the government, but the very man who was his bodyguard on the stage was a government worker, a government police officer, Eugene Roberts. And he's done many interviews since then, but Eugene Roberts was the man who was giving Malcolm mouth-to-mouth respiration when he was murdered. Many believe, we don't know the facts, but many believe that if a man had been shot in his chest, giving him mouth-to-mouth respiration was not going to save him. It was only going to magnify the man's death. And then the hospital in which Malcolm was taken to was right across the street from the Audubon Auditorium. So they had plenty of time to rush him over across the street to the hospital that was across the street. And you got to remember, Malcolm was under 24/7 surveillance. And it's strange that you can now find so many, even in the time of Malcolm's assassination, you can find so many videos of Malcolm, but all of a sudden they didn't have a video of the shooting of Malcolm. And Malcolm, it was as you may see in the recording, Malcolm was assassinated by 3 assassins, according to what they have said. One with a sawed-off shotgun, one with a .38, and one with a German Luger pistol.
Yes,
and
sir.
They started with an argument going on in the back of the auditorium where a man said, "Nigga, take your hand out of my pocket." And Malcolm tried to get them to calm down, and then that's when the one with a sawed-off shotgun came to the stage, according to what the history records wrote, and Malcolm was assassinated.
Yes,
But
sir.
again, he was infiltrated by his own group was infiltrated. Gene Roberts and others were all government, facilities. And I would not believe that the government had an agent inside the Audubon Auditorium and they had no surveillance on their own agent in his security. So it's sort of hypocritical.
Yes, sir. And thank you for that great history. Of course, I think two years ago, the Most Honorable Farrakhan recommended that we watch the documentary, the Netflix series about Malcolm X. And it just fascinates me that all of these years later, we're still answering questions and doing, arguing on Twitter, arguing on Facebook, face to face. What was that like for you being 2 years removed from that, being in Philly and having to deal with that? What was that like?
Being 2 years removed from when Malcolm's assassination?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, well, that was the uphill battle. The uphill battle was always brought, to the argument. The argument was all about what y'all killed Malcolm. But as many times, the Minister Farrakhan has done a multiplicity of lectures, about the Malcolm time. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stated many times, we raised Malcolm. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad made Malcolm. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave the light to Malcolm. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the one who gifted Malcolm from a man who was in prison. Malcolm was in jail, and they called him Satan in jail. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad brought him from jail, cleaned him up, washed him up. The man with the 8th grade education, and Honorable Elijah Muhammad put wisdom inside that man's head that made him sit scholars down. And as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, the Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord.
Yes,
So
sir.
God was the remover, as we tried to tell people. God was the remover. But we were the ones that give him the life. The life came from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All of those who were talking about Malcolm, they didn't give life to Malcolm. The life he got was from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because people don't understand, every time Malcolm went to talk, he got advice from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on which angle to come, what approach to come, and what would be the best way that would get him the best results, always.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And thank you for teaching, Brother Minister. And Brother Daniel saying teach. Yes, sir. This is phenomenal. Praise be to Allah. And people showing you love. Can't wait to put this on YouTube. My next question for you is Imam Muhammad. Did you ever have any interaction with him?
Several, yes, sir. Yes, sir. When Imam Muhammad came into office, I had dinner at the palace with him early on. That was in '75. In fact, I was actually in the dinner with Imam Muhammad, because that was my turn to have dinner with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So in '75, I was there. In March, in February, they told me I was going to be having dinner with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because they were, at that time, they were rotating different officials from throughout the country.
Yes,
and
sir.
each month, different officials were allowed to come in and permitted to have dinner with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I was due in February. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad departed when my dinner time came. So I ended up having dinner with Imam Muhammad at the time. And everything was set up the same way it was at that time, when the way it was when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was living at the palace at that time before his departure.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And before then, did you ever get a chance to see the Most Honorable Elijah, any interactions with the messenger?
Never had any direct interaction with the messenger, no, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, let's go back. Let's stay right here then. So it's 1975. After the departure, how did it affect you and your family?
Well, after the departure, the honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he departed, we all thought that the honorable Elijah Muhammad was dead. We know better now, but at that time we did not know. So as a result, for us it was a flow because we were a structured nation. And we were soldiers that were like this. Our theme was, it's not for me to reason why. It's just for me to do or die. And if new leadership came in, what people didn't understand, we referred to the family of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as the royal family. So whatever direction they would take, we wouldn't fight that direction. That would have been an insult to our nation. That would be the same as if I was to do that in this day and time now. That would be an insult to our nation. So that was an insult to our leadership. So we heard and obeyed. So we went with the flow of it because there was nobody in our higher echelon at that time, nobody who went against Muhammad. Everybody accepted his guidance and his leadership. So it was a flowing, but most of it at that time, Imam Muhammad became almost the sole preacher as he began to orientate those of us who were in the ministry of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as he began to orientate us on mainstream Islam. So as he began to orientate us on that, he was doing national telephone calls. At that time, they weren't doing videos. They didn't have all of that system set up at that time. So he was doing the teaching and having the ministers come in every month, and he would give us the orientation about mainstream Islam. Wasn't as difficult for me because I was a person who loved to study and loved to learn. I would read a book and literally stay up all night, just so excited in the reading that reading was common for me. And since I was having debates as a minister of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad with various groups, I was pretty up on mainstream Islam or
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
About Prophet Muhammad. I wasn't as efficient as we are today, but when I had Jehovah's Witnesses friends and they would invite me to come to Jehovah's Witnesses meetings, I would listen to them. I would go to the meeting and listen to them. I had brothers who were Moorish Americans and they had their own Holy Quran, the Holy Quran 7. And I would give me a copy of it and I'd read the Holy Quran 7 and I would, have a conversation with them. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad made us so wise by God's grace that I could start with what they gave me and then take them deeper into their own knowledge, So when I came into mainstream Islam, I knew things about mainstream. Like I said, not to the level that I know today, but I was able to have that conversation. And so when I was in the mainstream community, sort of moving around a little bit, but when I was in the mainstream community, as I came in and as said the changeover 75 and Warfield Muhammad was doing the talks, one thing that disturbed me, and that is that our activism seemed to have begun to dwindle until it seems as if we were just basically inactive. And even Warf started what you call a blight committee in every city. And a blight committee was to go up and clean up the decadence in the neighborhood and talk to the people. But there's very little spirit for it, and that didn't settle well with me. I was an activist and I loved being out in the street. I loved interacting with the people. So as time progressed, I became a bit disenchanted with that approach. And I'll tell you, I know I'm skipping around a little bit, but I'll tell you how I ended up coming under the Honorable Minister Farrakhan.
Yes, sir.
In 1985, it was Ramadan. I remember it clearly. That particular Ramadan, I had made my mind up. I wanted to understand, how did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad clean us up without us having to go to any special programs? Because after Imam Muhammad came in, many of the Muslims went back to drugs, went back to alcohol. Not all of them, but many went back to that lifestyle. And so some had joined various groups for the 12-step program, to try to get off of
Yes,
drugs.
sir.
And,
Yes, sir.
it's an honorable thing if they want to get off. But what I didn't understand is how come we didn't need that under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? We didn't need a 12-step program. And I really, I couldn't grip my mind around it. So I spent that particular Ramadan, I said, I'm not going to read anything but the Holy Quran and Hadith, sayings of Prophet Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
And brother, I read the Quran, 30 days of reading the Quran. Every day I read the Hadith. Man, the more I read the Hadith, the more I said, this is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is how we didn't have to go back to 12-step programs and all that. The word was sufficient to change us. Brother, I became deep in the word. I began to teach Quranic classes because I was convinced then that I was coming back to the Nation of Islam. I was convinced that I didn't tell anybody in the mainstream community what my plans were, but I was convinced then that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was actually prototyping, walking in the footsteps of Prophet Muhammad. And the irony of it, I started teaching Quranic teaching and Hadith teachings, and I'm thinking that, man, the more they hear that, they will realize that the words that the Prophet Muhammad is saying, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is the same word that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your brother, what you want for yourself. You got a bowl of beans too. Half of it belongs to your brother. The terminologies has such commonality. So I began to teach Quran and I began to teach Hadith. I mean, I've read tens of thousands of Hadiths, all of Sahih Muslim, all of the volumes of Sahih Muslim. I've read all of Bukhari, Ahmed, and taught all of them. And many of the ones many who are imams in Philadelphia right now were in my Quranic and Hadith class.
Yes, sir.
And they're imams. Some of them are right now. Some of them were all a part of that class. And that got me on my journey to join with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because there were those who were saying, well, if you go with Minister Farrakhan, then you're going to be in that Arab religion. I didn't buy that. I listened to the minister and I heard the same thing in him that I heard in Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I knew the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was going to walk us into at least I believe, walk us into the things we could extract from the mainstream community, but not make us worshipers of the mainstream communities, because there were many defects in the mainstream community. But I believe the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was going to walk us through that path, bring us back into brotherhood with them, but we would not be idol worshipers. Because when I went, I went to Hajj. Those that know me well know I love to travel. Me and my wife, we travel all over the world basically. But I've traveled pretty much all over the world. I went to Hajj in the early years after the transition. I went to Hajj. In fact, I lived in Mecca for almost a month. I went there a month before Hajj, so I did Umrah first. So I did Umrah. Umrah is when you do a mini Hajj. Umrah is when you don't leave the Masjid or Haram. Everything is done, all the tawafs and everything is done right inside of Masjid, inside of Masjid or Haram. So I did Ikram. I mean, I did my session there, and then the next week went into the Hajj week. So after that, I went and did Hajj, and we did the whole process of Hajj and stoning the Jumrahs and stoning, the things. In fact, I lived in Mina, and we would catch the bus to Masjid Haram pretty much every day to go to make salats. And then after the Hajj was over, I took off my Ikram. Your Ikram is a dress you wear when you get ready to go in. When you're going into Mecca, it's a big sign saying no, non-Muslims allowed. And we put our Ikram on and went on the Hajj. And after I came back from Hajj, I stayed another week. And then we went and visited Medina, the mosque of the Prophet, where the tomb, where the bier of the Prophet, the tomb of the Prophet is at. So we did all that. So like I said, I love to travel. So I made Hajj. After Hajj, I came back. I then went to vacation. I went to England, went to the biggest mosque in England, in Regent Park in England. I've been to France. I've been to the Louvre, Eiffel Tower, the Notre Dame, the church that caught on fire there. When our brother Akbar was moving into Africa in Ghana, went to Ghana with many of us. With Akbar was given a tour, so I went to the tour to Ghana. We went to Egypt first, and then Ghana. Akbar just gave such a superb trip. I mean, we went to the pyramids, the Sphinx. We were able to visit all of that. And Akbar at that time was moving in to Ghana to live. And many of us went and helped Akbar move into, he allowed us to help him move into his home. So, we did Egypt. I did Egypt. I did Ghana. Then after that, I've been to, I spent to, Hawaii and Mexico. And, me and my wife, we went up the pyramids. In fact, we went to the pyramids. I think it's Chichen Itza and other locations in Mexico. And now the pyramid now has been shut down because of the decay from cars, so forth. They don't allow you to climb it anymore. But those pyramids are just like the pyramids in Egypt. The same ones. The pyramids in Giza. The pyramids in Giza. I mean, the stones are so big. One block is taller than the average person. And imagine hundreds of blocks of stones in the pyramids, all piled on top of each other. And imagine that, and then you can go inside the pyramid, and you don't have to have an oxygen tank because the pyramids were laid down in such a way that the hallways were built by the way they laid the stones down. So they actually have walkways that weren't chiseled out. Walkways were laid just by the way they laid the stones down. And what's miraculous is that the pyramids in Giza is like half the height of the Empire State Building. So you imagine going up 500 feet in a pyramid. Now, we didn't go all the way to the top, go up a couple levels in the pyramid. But I say that to say that when we was in Mexico, same type of pyramids, and it's based on their knowledge of geography. The pyramids in Mexico, that particular pyramid had 4 corners of steps going up from 4 different directions, which represented the 4 seasons. And the steps was 365 steps, which represented the 365 days in a year. I mean, it's just a beautiful history in some of the places that Allah's been blessed me to go to and to see around the world.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And we getting so much love in the comments, and thank everybody who's watching. Brother Carlton Muhammad wants to know, do you have any stories about Minister Jeremiah Shabazz and Captain Daoud Nasir?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Minister Jeremiah is the reason why I'm known throughout the Delaware Valley. Because for all the time that I was in, the man who introduced Minister Jeremiah whenever he came on, the one that brought him on was always myself. I was the one to bring him on. When I joined the mosque, he was upset with me when I joined, because I joined in 67, got my exit in 68. But somebody else told him about the organizations that I had been over. And when he found about that in 1970, I'd been in about 2 years, he says, brother, how come you didn't tell me you was over all those organizations? I'm going to make you a minister. I never asked to be a minister. He made me in the ministry. And then he told me, he says, brother, I'm going to take you under my wing and teach you how to minister. And I'll tell you what I mean when I say teach me how to minister. He put me over a satellite mosque. Everybody in the mosque was older than me. My captain, my secretary, my sister captain, all were older than me. He had me run the mosque. But when there were conflicts, marital problems, cases to be dealt with, he didn't have me deal with the case. He said, brother, I want you to come to every case, sit in, don't say anything, and learn how to resolve conflicts in the mosque. And to this day, people call me from all over to help resolve conflicts in various mosques, and some even in other cities. They call me, but I learned that by first not getting involved at all, by just listening, learning how to deal with some of the worst cases of child molestation, of wife abuse, of brothers cheating each other in business deals. All of those things I learned. So he let me do that for probably about 2 years, 2 years, until really I think by his guidance, I really became very good at it. So he was my first teacher. He was my mentor in everything that I learned about ministry. I learned from Minister Jeremiah Shabazz. He kept me under his wing. Whenever he was doing something, he always tried to have me near. And when we were having special meetings, again, he had me be the one to bring him on. So he made me, unbeknown to myself, I never dreamed it, but he made my name known through everywhere in the Delaware Valley, because wherever there was somewhere to teaching, he sent me. He sent me to Coatesville. He sent me to Chester. He sent me to Camden. He sent me to the various spots where we had satellite mosques at, and he would have me go to preach. And if there was an argument, they were trying to put up a Malcolm X school in our city at the time, and he sent me to debate them about the merits of why Malcolm's school had no merit in this time, in this day and time. If you were going to do anything, name the school after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because you have no Malcolm without Elijah. So Elijah was the foundation, of which it was all about. And then I would show them how the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the one who raised Malcolm. And after his departure, Malcolm never talked to over 300 people. After he left the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he talked to tens of thousands under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I would go and I would defend the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I don't think I ever came out in a defeat. Minister Jeremiah would tell me, listen, brother, go this way, take the argument this direction, take the argument that direction, and that I would do. And again, I'm known, believe me, I humbly say, it has nothing to do with why I'm so well known. I'm known because of him. He put me before the people in order that I might speak. And there's people now in government, some in city council in Philadelphia, in other locations. Many of them came under my ministry, in that. In fact, the Minister Jeremiah, my closest thing was such, I was coming to visit the mosque in 1973, right before I went to prison. And Minister Jeremiah sent a letter to give to Minister James. Mr. James was the minister under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He's like what Ishmael is now. Minister James was a minister. Minister Jeremiah sent me a letter to give to him and said if he would be willing to allow me to talk. So the rostrum that Ishmael and them are talking from now, in 73, Minister Jeremiah sent me a letter, and Brother Minister James let me go for about a half hour. I gave him the letter, and he let me preach in Mosque number 2 at that time, the Mosque Miriam now. And that was big. That was big. If you go to Chicago and he, he knew I was he considered me a fireball minister. So
yes, sir.
He said he knew I would represent well. And Minister James gave me back a big compliment because they really loved the dissertation or the preaching that I was able to give in that time. So I'm greatly thankful for Minister Jeremiah. And Daoud was my captain. So we were all thankful for Daoud. The greatest gift we say of Daoud, that he was a quiet organizer, producer. We were selling 125,000 papers, and Daoud was the captain heading that march of papers. And Daoud was quiet, but Daoud could make his point. He knew how to build a soldier that was disciplined and dedicated to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So, brother, it was truly under Daoud. It's not a case of you willing to reason why. It was just a case of do or die. And he was my personal friend and my personal friend even to this day. Daoud calls me now, and I called him from time to time we're not as much in communications as we used to be. But I used to call him, as well as Minister Jeremiah. When I went to go with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I talked to Minister Jeremiah and told him I was going to make this move to go with Minister Farrakhan. I tried to talk him to come on, go with me, brother minister. He just was not. And we met and we dined and we talked, and he was just not willing to do it. But we brought Minister Farrakhan in 1970, a brother and myself, a brother Jerome. I was just coming in to the rebuilding from the mainstream community, so I knew a lot of people in the mainstream community. Jerome knew a lot of people, and our brother in Memphis, Tennessee now, used to be Anthony. I forget his.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Muslim name, and he allowed me and Jerome to just, if y'all can put it together, I'll support it. And we brought Minister Farrakhan in 1990. We brought him back again in 1991, and it was successful on both occasions. I used my contacts that I knew in the mainstream. Jerome used the people that he knew in the street, and it went very well. In 91, Minister Rodney, our regional minister now, was just coming into Philadelphia in 1991. So he came in 91. When Minister Rodney came, that was my beginning journey in Jersey. Minister Rodney asked me, would I go to Camden, New Jersey? I told him I would. I didn't realize that when I went there, I was starting with nothing. We started in a YWCA with 3 believers: myself, a lieutenant, and a secretary. No people, no guests, nobody, just us 3. And we went and started talking in the street, preaching in the street. 3 years later, in 1974, we had over 70 believers in the Camden Mosque. Praise be to Allah. From 0, and Minister Rodney, of course, was always backing us. Our regional minister Rodney was always backing us and supporting us in that, And then there was a changeover, and I came back to Philadelphia because there was a group coming up in Camden that said they would bring their group to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So they gave them an opportunity to see if they could do such, and they really ultimately left the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They went under him, but then they didn't want to see him. They didn't see him as being in the divine light that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us he was. Look at him. When you see him, look at him.
Yes, sir.
Go away. Say, stay from. Well, they couldn't quite get with that, so they broke up. And so I came back to Philadelphia, and Lord and behold, many years later, in 2005, I was sent back to Camden. And then Camden had been, by that time, been reduced down to 13 people. And me and my wife, we just got married. We're now going into 17 years of marriage, Sister Verna. And he sent me and my wife sent me to Camden, and my wife came with me, and we've been in Camden ever since then. The last 17 years, we've been in Camden and lifting it up. And now we're getting ready to register, reinstate the number in Camden, which was mosque number 20.
20. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Okay, great. And you're getting so much love in the comments, Brother Minister. Some people shouting you out and giving you testimonies. That's right, at the top of the clock. And wow, praise be to Allah. This is great history. Sister Tracy says this should be a series of books and or of movies. Sister Tracy, alhamdulillah. Sister Miriam, all praises to Allah. Sister Naima, assalamu alaikum. Okay, Brother Minister, I have a quick 60-second commercial break, but we're coming right back to our brother Minister out of Jersey, but who's put in so much work since 1967, following the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is an amazing testimony. And today, the lineup, the people who I'm posting today, two have been to Hajj. One came and talked about Prophet Muhammad, so it's all lining up, Brother Minister. It's all lining up. If you'd like to be a sponsor or donor, please cash app the People's Podcast. Every donation matters, and we thank you. My brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book, both of which are available on Amazon. Also, my sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country and right here in the studio of Atlanta, Georgia. We love our tiny dancers. Raw Communications, if you're working on a book and you need copy editing, project management, content development, or media relations, please reach out to Raw Communications. Student Minister Robert L. Muhammad, conflict mediation, squashing the beef throughout the Southwest region. His wife, Sister Fudia Muhammad, Children of the Most High, giving birth to a God in the science of child rearing. Thank you very much. Also, Sister Sherry Muhammad, Asiatic Minds. She teaches STEM virtually to young kings and queens all across the country. AsiaticMinds.com. We're coming right back to our student minister. Fashion Gods, 314-329-6009. Urban Streetwear out of St. Louis. If you want to get fresh, reach out to Fashion Gods. Brother Kenneth, bow tie maker extraordinaire. He'll ship bow ties to you anywhere in the country. Also, Power Campus Online Learning. Do you want to improve your homeschool experience? We're here to help. 770-847-0786. If you're homeschooling, please reach out to them. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 Disinfecting Cleaning Services out of Chicago. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, AbdulSharif.com. And last but not least, my two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Thank you all very much for every like, share, and subscription and donation. Right back to our brother Minister Omar. And thank everybody who's showing love in the comments. Okay, yes, sir.
I'll tell you a funny story, brother Josh. I'll tell you a funny story. When I got arrested, I was selling Final Call. I mean, Muhammad Speaks at that time, downtown in Philadelphia. And me and another brother in the mosque was selling papers downtown. It was pretty much our regular spot downtown that we went and sell. And the FBI pulls up in their sedan, and they've got 4 agents. It's only locking up little me. 2 agents in the front, two in the back, 5 of us in the car totally. And they're locking me up because I refused to go to the draft. They had a court case on me, and I appealed the case for going to the draft under the same premise of Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was a minister, and under his ministry, he was refused the draft. So under the same thing. So my court case was contingent upon his court case. His court case was a few years before mine. They drafted me right after I came out of college in '70. I did a year in college, and after that year I came out of college. Soon as I came out of college, they sent me a draft letter. And so I refused the draft, and I'm moving the story on. So they arrest me. I go to the court case to further defend my case. I lose the case. Brother, they don't even let me go back home. They locked me up and arrested me and put me in right then. I was, it was common then if you refused the draft, they gave you 5 years. So I was sentenced to 5 years in prison. And by the time my case through appeals that came up, that was 1973. So they arrested me and sentenced me to 5 years. I didn't do the 5 years. I did about 8 months. I never wrote them a letter. After 8 months, they let me out of prison because in 1973, they dropped the draft. And when they dropped the draft had been the law up until '73. They dropped the draft at that time. And when they dropped the draft, they allowed me to come out of prison. But when I was in prison, they tried to make it difficult for you when you're in prison. My first month was sent into a detention center. That's a local prison inside Philadelphia. So they sent me there. The first week they put me in isolation, not in the hole. Isolation means you only can get in your cell. You couldn't go in the population. They didn't want me to go in the population. After a month, they sentenced me they shipped me to Dallas prison. It's a prison inside of in Pennsylvania. So it's not in Dallas, Texas. It's in Pennsylvania. But the prison was about 2.5 to 3 hours outside of the city. Because they wanted to make sure you couldn't get no guests. So anybody that came to visit me would take 3 hours to come, 3 hours to come back. So you had a 6-hour drive just to come and visit. Brother, I didn't ask anybody to visit me. I told them, I said, you got work to do in the street. I've got work to do in the prison. My father came up to visit me, and back then, you had to talk through the glass. He was on one side, I'm on the other side. My father came to visit me, and I told my dad, I said, oh, Dad, you don't have to come visit me. I appreciate it, but you don't have to visit me. I'm all right. And my father was like, son, how you all right? And you in jail. and I said, Dad, I am fine. Brother, they sent me to Dallas prison. We started an FOI class. We had FOI class on a weekday, and then we had meetings on Sunday. Brother, we took the uniform, put a stripe in the pants to make it like a FOI suit.
Yes, sir.
Put fez up, put some cloth in the fez, and put a fez on our head, brother. And we taught Islam, brother. I was minister. If you came from the street, you generally had priority in the prison. So if you came from the street and you was a minister in the street, and in the prison, they normally the brother would normally make you the minister in the prison. So when I came into Dallas prison, they made me the minister in the prison. Brother, we taught so hard, brother. We converted the guards. I was in my prison cell. I had a radio in my prison cell, which was unknown, brother. The guards was bringing me fruit and apples and bananas and everything inside the prison, brother. And we grew by leaps and bounds inside Dallas prison. Truth be told, I think they were happier to have me out than they have me in. And the brother today, who is my captain in Dallas prison, is an imam in the mainstream community right now. He was my captain when I was in prison, a brother by the name of Bilal.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Man.
I don't want to get off track, but I'm just giving a little information.
Oh, no, we need that. Yes, sir. We need all the history. Yes, sir. All the history. Praise be to Allah. My sister Miriam says, a true soldier. Brother Daniel said, all praise to Allah, the mighty FOI. Sister Tracy wants to know, how did it feel to have been blessed to leave after having made such an impact?
To leave in which way?
I'm assuming she's leaving prison. Leave prison. Like, how did it feel when you left?
Oh, it was a wonderful thing. When you got out of prison, then you were, obligated to, if you wanted to still stay in ministry, you had to go and try to start back preaching again. So when I got out of prison, someone was already a minister in the mosque where I was a satellite at. It was a mosque called 12C in Philadelphia. So I started a mosque in South Philadelphia area, a mosque called 12B, because it had been a 12B mosque, but it had been shut down. It had been closed for a long time, and I started it back up. I started first teaching in a recreation center. We went from a recreation center to a little hall, a little spot called the Hippo spot, where they did little dances and all that during the week. But we started renting it for our Wednesdays and Fridays and Sunday meetings, brother. We blew up so big until we ended up buying a building in South Philadelphia and started a mosque there. We bought a 3-story building. That's how big we had grown from me coming out of prison, going to a recreation center, going to a hall, to us buying a building, because that's how many people joined. And by the time for the departure for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, from my time in 73 to 75, our attendance on Sunday at my satellite mosque was between 200 to 300 people on a Sunday. Now it was, that was big. But Minister Jeremiah was getting 500 people on a Sunday. At the headquarters mosque, but 200 was a good number. So,
yes, sir.
So we had quite a team. We had quite a team and quite a squad in South Philadelphia at Mosque 12B at that time.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. But Brother Minister, being in Camden, like from the outside looking in, Camden seems to be like one of the worst crime-ridden places. Everybody, all the rap music talks about, like, don't go to Camden. Camden seems to be a high crime rate. Have you ever faced fear? And if so, how have you overcome that fear?
I have to honestly tell you, I never faced that fear in Camden, and I'm not saying that to be bold or courageous. I just didn't feel that because Islam, I felt had the power to transform the area, and I believe that we could do it. And we began to preach and to talk. And the benefit of when you're in a small city, the population of Camden is about 90,000 people, now going up to about 100,000 people. That's the entire city. So the benefit in a small city, if you get an anchor in, you get known throughout the city.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, sir.
it didn't take long for us to get known throughout the city because we would go out on the corner. There's a spot in Camden called the Donut Queen, and we go out in front of the Donut Queen, and we sold papers there every day, and we just got known. People begin to know us. That's the brothers, and we begin to be transformational inside of the city because Camden is known as one of the poorest cities in the United States.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And right now, Camden crime rate is down. They did structure a new police system in Camden, a regional kind of system in Camden, and that did help. The police officers did come out to be more friendlier and more cooperative in the community. But it was the message of Islam that had the power. I tell you a story in Camden. In Camden, when I first came in 1991, they used to, on Mystery Night, Halloween time, on Mystery Night, they used to set fires and burn down houses in Camden. It was a common practice, and they were doing it every year. So one year, I just made my mind up, brother. We're not gonna let them burn down no more houses. That's it. We stopped. And I got with some of the politicians at that time, and some of them still know us and still talk about it to this day. And we did a big call out with the brothers that we had then built in Camden. And brother, we marched through the streets of Camden, preaching Islam in the street under the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Brother, from that day on, for almost 2 decades, you've never had another fire on Mystery Night in Camden since that time.
Praise be to Allah.
The word of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stands firm in Camden. If there's a conflict or an issue, if we get involved, many times we can calm the tempers down. We can calm the tempers down and make things better. And a lot of it is made better by just people joining. You know, we just got people that join. The thing about that we're known in Camden, and all those in the Delaware Valley know it well, that Camden, we're considered one of the youngest mosques because I only try to convert people who are young. I don't mind older people joining. I'm old myself, but I go at to convert between 18 and 25. And most of the believers in our mosque are all young. Most of them are young. All have been inspired to move on in education. We have most of the members who came in as just children under our leadership in Camden under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan went to college and got their education. You know, I have one sister that works as a social worker. She went and got her college. One brother that went on and he ended up going in with the union and getting a job working with the union. He went on to go to college. Others have gone on to went to college. We had one young man came in, didn't even have a high school diploma. Brother, we worked with that brother. He went and got his GED, had to go several times to do first half of the test, and he got frustrated, didn't want to do the second half. We sent him back, brother, go back and do that second half of the test. He went back and did the second half of the test. Brother, that brother got his GED, then decided that he wanted to work in being a cook. And that brother went to culinary school.
Yes, sir.
Got certified in culinary school and working in restaurants right now. Started in Camden, New Jersey. Camden, New Jersey. So Allah has blessed us with a lot of young people. A lot of them have gotten their degrees. A lot of them have at least got some education. Those that didn't stay and go all the way through to the degree. And again, most of them that's in the mosque are young. And I thank Allah for them.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, you
And
spoke
love some Farrakhan. Love some Mr. Farrakhan. We ain't having it no other way.
Yes, sir.
You know, so they love it. We call ourselves the CMD, Camden, New Jersey, with a burning love for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, without doubt. We've got plaques, we've got awards out. I'm not even going about it. We've got plaques from the mayor, we've got awards from other people. One of our brothers, I swore him in. He's a member on city council. And I swore him in when he became a member of city council.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir.
We thank Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Now, Brother Minister, earlier you spoke before we went on live about your wife being in education and her being with you. You said for 17 years, right? 17 years?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
2 master's degrees, bachelor's degree, and she is how I end up with her is only a gift from Allah. And trust and believe, I'm grateful. You know, one thing for certain, if you want success in life, count your blessings. The best blessing you can have is a companion that will stick with you through thick and thin. And I say this as no exaggeration and no blowing up my wife's head. But brother, whatever we've had to go through, whether it's been poor times, well-to-do times, struggling times, my wife has been with me through thick and thin, problem-free. And I couldn't ask for a better companion.
Wonderful. Yes, sir.
She's definitely my traveling companion. Like I said, we just came from Dubai. We went to Dubai right before the virus.
Yes, sir.
We went to Dubai and had the time of our lives in Dubai. Went into the highest building that's built on the planet. It's 164 stories high, and we went up to the tour spot goes up to like the 130th floor. We've done that. Me and the wife, we've done Hawaii, we've done Mexico, we've done. I mean, me and the wife just travels all everywhere. She is not just my spouse, but she is my companion in the activity that I do. So, Sister Verna Karim, shout out.
Yes, sir.
But she's been educating for about over 25 years. She's in a high school teacher now.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. What type of music do you like to listen to, Brother Minister?
You know, I try to mix it up. I try to. I came up. You know, when you grow up under your parents, you listen to the music that was popular with your parents. So I have a lot of. Don't get mad at me, people, but I got a lot of white musicians that throughout time were popular with me. I liked Frank Sinatra. I liked Tony Bennett.
Yes, sir.
In the blacks, you know, I like Nat King Cole. You know, these were my parents. They weren't in my age bracket, but when you're children, you hear them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so it comes up with you. Then as I came up, then it was the Teddy Pendergrass and Luther Vandross. And then in order to stay in contact with young people, my children, I had them keep me abreast of the what's going on in the hip hop and the rap. So I'm always listening. I listen to the hip hop. I listen to the rap. I listen for the message that they're saying about whatever pains that they're suffering and whatever things that they are seeing. And I try to present that picture clearer in the lectures that I give inside of the mosque. And I always, when I listen to the music, I listen to the uncut version. Brother, the uncut version is raw, but you got to listen to what they're listening to. So the ones on the radio, you know, that's the pacified version. But brother, you go on YouTube and listen to the uncut version, brother. Sometimes I feel like I got to put my hands in my ears and my hands over my eyes. But brother, you can't relate to them if you're not willing to listen to the things that they are going through, because music is the album of your life.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
I have to listen to it because this is what their life has been geared up around. So I listen to it for my children. You know, I have 6 children. I have 5 degrees in my family
Mm,
among my children, and I have my oldest son has a master's degree, has a bachelor's in computer science, and a master's degree in computer engineering.
mm, mm.
My other children, my daughter's a nurse. She has her bachelor's degree in nursing. And my other daughter in childcare, she has her bachelor's degree in. My son took animal science. He has his bachelor's degree in that. And my
Mm.
other son that didn't finish college, he went to college but didn't finish, decided to go into computing. So he got certified in computing, and he's doing computing work right now. So all 6 of my children, I'm very proud of them. All of them have gotten their degrees, and all of them have went forward, and they are me and my wife's best supporters.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Brother Minister, will you ever write a book on your personal life?
My wife has told me to do it for God knows how long. So I don't know if I'll do it, but the tape that our brother Greco put out on my a video autobiography is titled "Make It Plain."
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And about he's told me, I don't see the numbers, but he's told me about 35,000 people have watched it. And I know when I come to Savior's Day, people are always coming up to me from various cities around the country have seen it. I think that biography does a great job at doing a lot of my life. But my wife is right, that I may, maybe at one point I will write, because all of what Minister Farrakhan has done for me, see, I came up under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but I never would have understood the Honorable Elijah Muhammad without the minister giving us the insight. Because what happened, it's one thing to love a man, but the trickery of Satan. See, Satan, if Satan can't win you over one way, he'll come another way. So when Satan seen he couldn't stop the tidal wave, the tsunami of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's movement, what he did is he turned the story around and turned us into worshipers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And if you worship your leadership, you will surely go astray. So what we did, we loved the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We worshiped him. He never taught us to worship him. That was not what he taught. But the enemy adds that too. Oh, yeah, you love the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He's this, he's that, he's that. So they make you want to worship the man. And they know once you worship a man, you're going to fall off track. They try to do that now, the same trick with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If they think that you're too strong in the minister, and you love the minister, you into the minister, knee deep in Minister Farrakhan, they won't try to discourage, the enemy won't try to discourage you from the minister. He'll try to change your direction. He'll try to change your perspective on the minister. And next thing you know, he'll try to make you worship the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And then you'll see the minister as an entertainment. Then you see the minister as, now you walk around and you bragging about you got the Minister Farrakhan top 10 hits. So you sitting around with his videos, but you're looking at them as entertainment. You're not looking at them as divine guidance. So that's the enemy's trick that he wants to do. Because the hardest thing to do, I did a lecture on how to follow divine leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I'll just paraphrase it in a moment in this. I listened to a tape of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he was saying how they want you to see a divine man in every light except divine. So they'll tell you, oh, yeah, you love Minister Farrakhan. Oh, he's a great social activist. He's a great he does great social things in the society. You love Minister Farrakhan? Oh, he's a great businessman. Y'all got farmland, y'all got this. He's a wonderful businessman. But the thing they don't want to call him, a divine leader, teacher, and guide. Why don't they want to call him divine? Because if I accept the fact that he's divine and the voice and the guidance of God, that would obligate me to obey him whether I like it or not. So they don't want to accept him as divine. Now they'll accept him under all the other titles.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They don't want to accept him as divine because they don't want to have to obey what God has put in front of us. But brother, as the scripture says, before this game is over, every knee shall bow.
That's right.
and every tongue shall confess.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Muhammad told us on this man's shoulders, he would get us over to the other side. He says, through you, brother, I will get all of my people. And in Islam, word is bang.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And he certainly got me for certain.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, I have one more question for you, and so many people showing love in the comments. Thank you all. Can't wait to put this on YouTube. Brother Minister, what would you like your legacy to be?
I would like it to be thought that I love the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I love the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm eternally thankful that they woke me up to Allah in the person of Master Farrakhan Muhammad, to whom praise is forever due. Forever due. I'm so thankful that they woke me up to God, Allah, in his person, the great Mahdi,
Yes,
who
sir.
came and transformed the people, came to North America by himself. I like my legacy to be that I love the three. And I could not have been anything without them, because there would be no legacy for me to have had not someone opened up my eyes and made me see value in myself and value in my people. So if I lived 1,000 years or beyond, I could never thank Allah enough for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because he made us see these two men, Master Farrakhan Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He made us to see them in the right light, because to have the God, but not know the God within the right light, does you no benefit. So my legacy would be is gratitude. Pray that Allah will put me in the category of those who are grateful.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, thank everybody who continue to like, share, and subscribe, and everybody who's watching. Tracy's in the comments saying beautiful. Yes, sir. Brother Daniel saying that's the truth. Alhamdulillah. This is a must. There's a must love to love the three. They can't destroy this invisible truth. Praise be to Allah. Thank you all. And thank you again, Brother Minister. This has been an extreme honor. I look forward to meeting you, inshallah, in person one day so that we can have a conversation.
Thanks to People's Podcast. I thank y'all so much for allowing me an opportunity to get a few humble words out. Nothing but gratitude and my appreciation for me and my family as well.
Praise be to Allah. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off of the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam.